If you read our Campus Design Guide ebook, you know we identified the routed access as the optimal design for the campus network. This design won't go down, you won't have to tweak it. It's the mother of all campus designs, but in order to run it, you need the right hardware. In this video, we're going to filter out the noise, and we're only going to show you the hardware that is relevant for this design. A little part of me dies every time I see that we've sold the 2960X, or a layer 3 switch with a layer 2 LAN-based software image, to be deployed as an access switch. Why? Access switches that don't support layer 3 stub routing will force us into a suboptimal design. One simple mistake, and we're routing in a Pinto instead of an X-Wing. If we want to run the routed access design, what are our options? In this video, we're focusing on Cisco's fixed configuration switches. We'll cover Cisco chassis and other vendor offerings in follow-up videos, so make sure to subscribe. We create this list to separate what we can do from what we really should do. Assuming a 10 gigabit backplane, here's our list of requirements. IP-based feature set, 2 10 gigabit uplinks, 15.4 watts of PoE, and access ports that support 10, 100 megabits, and 1 gigabit. Given the requirement for 10 gigabit uplinks, our pool of options immediately narrows down to about 3 choices: the 3850 and 3650 series, the 3750 and the non-stacking 3560X series, and then the 3750 and 3560E series. All of these switches meet our list of requirements, but there are some feature differences between the different models. Let's start with the Catalyst 3850 and 3650 series, Cisco's flagship stackable switch. Its big selling point is the integrated wireless LAN controller that allows management of up to 50 wireless access points. Pretty cool. But unless we intend to use the wireless access controller, this is just an excessively expensive switch, with features we just don't need in an access switch. So let's move on. Next up is the 3750X. There are 2 things you have to know here. First, in order to have 10 gigabit uplinks, you need to purchase a network module. These are kind of expensive and can run you about $1,000 to the cost of each switch. Second, this switch supports both the 802.1 AT 30 watt and UPoE 60 watt power over Ethernet standards. We often hear terms like future-proofing associated with this feature, which is somewhat confusing. If we're sticking to the 99% of deployment rule, the largest consumers of power over Ethernet are IP phones, and today, all of these are supported by the 802.1 AF standard that supplies 15.4 watts. The reality is that IP phones are becoming more efficient, not less efficient, while most require only 4 watts of power. Like before, the 3750X and 3560X are a great switch with cool features, but these features are outside of our requirements. They just drove up the price. This is why it's so critical to build a list of requirements before you go shopping. Next up is a 3750E and 3560E switch. While it lacks all those cool features, it exactly meets our requirements for an access switch in the routed access design. More importantly, it will perform at exactly the same level as the other switches. Let me say this again. The 3750E and 3560E will perform at exactly the same level as the 3850, 3650, and the 3750X and 3560X deployments. For an access switch deployment, the only real difference is going to be the cost of the switch. 3850 is almost 3 times as much as the 3750E, while the 3750X is about double the 3750E. And get this, the 3750E is less expensive than the 2960X layer 2 switch that we mentioned at the beginning of this video. Yes, Cisco does have an end of life for the 3750E and 3560E, but amazingly, this has had no impact on its performance. In fact, the maturity of the device means that there's no software or hardware bugs to worry about. They've all been found. The same cannot be said for those other switches. To be clear, we strongly recommend the 3750E and 3560E series switch for the deployment in the access. It matches the performance of all the other switches mentioned, and it does so for a fraction of the cost. Now, let's say your backbone requirement is only 1 gig. Then we recommend looking at one generation back, the 3750G and the 3560G series switches. These hit all the requirements and would drive even deeper savings. So that's our hardware companion guide for the routed access design. If you found it helpful, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel for a steady dose of tips and tricks. Thanks for watching.